I've had many takes already and I still don't know how to intro this. But 3 things are for sure. 1, Black Lives Matter. 2, I've got some things to talk about. And 3, I've got some clothes to fold. So, welcome to Folding with me, where I will be talking about certain things very, very openly and honestly. Let's get started. Keep in mind, these are all experiences that have happened to me. These are things that I have witnessed personally, I have experienced personally. These are all still wrong to do in any context. First up is racism. Racism is something I've dealt with quite frequently in my life, but the time that has really stood out to me the most was, well, last year. I had to go back to the States for some stuff, and whenever I re-entered the United States of America, at the airport that I landed at, I don't want to say I was like detained by US Customs and Immigration, but in a sense I was taken back to the room. And whenever I entered the room, there were, you know, several people back there, several families in that room. Let me just say, I absolutely hated it. I was nervous. I had nothing to be nervous about, but that whole situation just made me, I'm like slightly shaking just thinking back to it, because it's just an uncomfortable situation. So whenever I was back there, there's signs all over that says no phone, no talking, you know, so forth. I think it was more like you're okay to talk with people that you came in with, but not talk to people you don't necessarily know in that room. So in that room, there were 2 agents. One was male, one was female, and they were calling people up to the desk one at a time, essentially, and, you know, going over some things, going over details, scanning passports and green cards and so forth. There was this couple there, okay? They were Mexican. I saw their passports. They were Mexican. The person that was being held in that room was the wife, because she ended up telling her husband, hey, you go ahead, go on to baggage, and I'll catch up with you in a minute, because they had a connecting flight. So that's what he did. He said, okay, I have my phone, call me when you're done. And that's what their game plan was going to be. So she ends up being called up next. And when I say this agent was just such a, I'm gonna have to bleep this out. He was such a, okay, there is no other way to say it, because he had to repeat himself a couple times or use like different words instead of like his jargon for his work. And he was just getting so fed up, like super duper fed up. And you could tell like he had been there a long while, like that's not his first rodeo per se. And he was just being such a jerk to this woman. Like you could tell that she knew some English, but it wasn't like perfect, or she wasn't fluent in English. And especially not trying to understand his jargon that he was just like throwing at her. The female agent was super nice to everyone that she was dealing with. Like she handled them with patience and was kind to them. He, on the other hand, was just over there yelling and cussing at her and just about everyone else that had been called up before her, because they weren't speaking perfect English. And he was like just huffing and puffing the whole time. He ends up calling someone to be a translator for her, and whenever he was making that phone call, he was just, it made me so angry the way he was handling it, because he was just, I feel my face getting hot because I'm getting mad. Someone here doesn't speak English, so I don't know why they do this to me all the time. Could you send someone down here to be a translator? I don't care who you call down here, but make it quick. Yeah, I don't know why. Yeah, like I can't believe they don't speak English. Like just completely hateful and as racist as you could be in front of everyone in that room. We were all getting that same vibe, like, whoa, this dude is really not liking us. Now keep in mind, there was all kinds of people in that room. These are like literally people from all over the world, okay, where English is not their first language, keep that in mind. And he just keeps going at her and is like, I don't understand why you wouldn't have this paperwork with you. You should know this by now. God, you've been living here how long? And stuff. And it just kept going on and on. Like, a part of me just kept breaking inside, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. Like, what do I do? Is there anything I can do? You could just definitely tell, like, everyone in that room was, one, very offended, and two, very afraid. And we just all sat there in like complete silence. Like, what do we do? How do we help? Can we help? Are we going to get in trouble if we try to help? Eventually someone does come down to be a translator for her. She's trying to explain the situation and he's getting mad and stuff. He was just such a jerk. Like, he wasn't letting her explain or anything like that. Like, automatically he's like, you're about to get deported if you don't tell me, or you're about to get deported, you know, because you don't have this or this. And it was a scary situation, honestly. And that he was just, in that moment when I was watching all of that happen, I didn't know what to do or if I could do anything, you know, because they were telling us like no talking, no cell phones, like nothing whatsoever. And so there was nothing I could do in that moment. And I just, oh, I felt so bad, because all I wanted to do was help. It's one thing to do your job. It's another thing to be a complete racist while doing your job. Not even folding clothes at this point, oh my gosh. Just being so unfair and just so, oh gosh, it was awful. I absolutely hate thinking back to that moment. I hate not having been able to do anything to help her or anything like that. It was just awful. Hateful towards her. Like, if he's that openly hateful towards her, how's he gonna be towards me? So I go up to the desk and it's like a switch just flipped in him. He went from being a complete racist to being a decent person because I could speak English. What? If you're in that line of work, you should know to have patience with people whose first language isn't English. Like, I don't know what else he was expecting in that line of work. But obviously he's got some issues, okay? But that was like the most hard-hitting experience of racism that I witnessed, mainly because, I'm not gonna cry, mainly because I thought back to like my family. My parents don't speak fluent English. They speak English pretty well, but they're not fluent, and I could only imagine how, you know, he would have treated them if it was them in that situation. And so it's just, and it hurts. It hurts that there's, you know, racists out there. One, that there's racism even still alive, and two, that it's in that career field especially. So yeah. All right, it might look a little different. I had to step away. Camera battery died. I did a workout. I ate dinner. Lots has happened since we last spoke. The next thing I want to touch on is like 3 things wrapped into one. So that's like stereotyping, discrimination, and prejudice. I've experienced each one, I think all at like one time. It wasn't like one single time, it was just all of them lumped into multiple instances and multiple experiences for me. The one that sticks out the most is back when I was a cashier at Walmart. I had many customers who were just not the brightest, and just not like, it just wasn't there. Complete ignorance, essentially. One day this customer came through, and it was a woman, and she came up to my register, and it was kind of more of a slower day. So, you know, slower days meant that I was able to actually talk with customers. This was a slow day, so we ended up talking, and she asked me my name. I told her my name is Alba, and I continued to ring up her items. And the next question is, are you Mexican? And I said, yes, I am Mexican. And like immediately right after that, she says, are you related to so-and-so or to so-and-so? I didn't say anything. I just kind of stood there and was like, I'm sorry, did did she just think that because I'm Mexican, I'm related to like 2 different families within this county? Like, what makes you think that's like okay to ask? It'd be one thing if I told you like my full name, like my last name, but all I gave her was my first name and the fact that I'm Mexican. And then she just ran with it and asked, are you related to so and so and so and so? After I stood there for what felt like forever and everything was like in slow-mo, I was just like, what? How do I take this moment to educate her to not prejudge notion that I am related not to 1 but to 2 separate families who happen to also be Mexican, and or like stereotype me that, you know, we have larger families? And I was just like, why? I don't ask her. She's related to the people down the street from me based upon her first name. Like, that's not how it goes. You know, it's just, it doesn't make sense, and it's rude, and it's just stupid. And so my response to her was, actually, I don't have a big family, and I don't have much of a family around here. And she just was like, oh, I just assumed. That's where you're wrong. That's where you're wrong. Don't go assuming things about people you don't know about. I don't go around asking John if he knows Ben, okay? Like, that's not because he's white or he's black or he's also brown. I don't ask if he knows so and so, just thinking that of course they gotta know each other because they're of the same race. That's just complete ignorance. And you know, I wish I could have said something else to her, but at the same time, come on. And it wasn't like she was young either. No, she was like an older lady. So it's like, if she said that to me, how many other people has she said that to and think it's okay? That moment right there, it's like, why? Trying to pair up socks right now and like nothing is matching. Like, I have these socks and there's like 1 of each kind. The next thing I want to touch upon is colorism. So colorism is something that I struggled with from being a kid, okay? Like, as a child, it was just hammered into my brain, don't get too dark. Like, it pains me to say that, and this is just a struggle I know within the people of color community. It's hard because media and pop culture like literally shove it in your face that being light-skinned is what's beautiful. Being light-skinned is what's going to get you to the top. Being light-skinned makes you the most favorable, the prettiest, the sweetest, the, you know, the most fortunate. And then you go to the opposite and you're a darker skin of your race, and all of a sudden you're poor, you're uneducated, you're a thug, you're a thief. It hurts. It honestly hurts. So as a kid, whenever I would be outside playing and like, you know, a kid, like 5, 6, 7, I was always outside. Rain or shine, hot or cold, I was always outside. And family members would tell me, Alba, cover up, cover your arms, cover your face, cover this part of your body. That way you don't get too dark, otherwise you're going to look black. Like, why is that acceptable to say to a child? Why is that acceptable to even think about? Like, so from that point on, from being a kid up until I was about a teenager, I really believed that. I truly thought that if I got too dark and I started to look black, that I was ugly. That I was no longer going to be accepted by the race. To the point where I remember I would take my like loofah as a kid and like I would scrub so hard on my skin because I thought I could scrub it away. Like, I thought I could scrub the dark tan away on my skin. That's how bad it affected me. And that's something that kids shouldn't think about or like have even thought about, but that's, and do you hear how stupid that sounds? Do you hear how ignorant that sounds? How hateful and hurtful that sounds? As a kid, I didn't connect with novelas. I didn't connect with the characters or actors and actresses on the novelas because I didn't look like them. Be like, yeah, they're Mexican, but I didn't look like them. I connected more with like Raven off of That's So Raven because I was closer to her skin tone versus, which is that novela, which had very, very light-skinned actors and actresses. So then once I got to another certain age, like actual adulthood, you know, like adulthood, I realized that like my skin color is always gonna be dark. Like I'm always gonna be on the tanner, darker side of the Mexican color spectrum, I guess. That's just my genetics. I've always been darker from a kid until now. There was no way of stopping that. Okay, like I was just always gonna be dark. Colorism is just something I've always hated dealing with. I don't understand it. I don't know where this hate comes from. You know, and it goes deeper than that. There's a lot of layers to colorism, and it's not just me being Mexican who experiences that. No. This goes to like all races, all ethnicities of people of color. Like, trust me, I've seen it. I see the ads, I see their beauty standards in different cultures, and it's there. The more we openly talk about our experiences, and the more uncomfortable we make people talking about it, that like it'll knock some sense into them to think twice about what they're about to say, to think twice about this preconceived notion that they have about us. Or no, we gotta keep these discussions going. We gotta keep shining a light on these things. Quit sweeping it under the rug. Talk about it openly. Let people know what the heck is going on in the world. May it not be their world exactly, but what else is going on in the world. So guys, I am done folding clothes, and so that is folding with me. Let's talk. I'm going to go ahead and leave the comments open, and I'm gonna have, you know, open and honest conversations with you guys. Tell me about your experiences with racism, discrimination, prejudice, stereotyping, and colorism. I know it's out there, and let's just talk about it. Let's have an open conversation about it. Let's talk about how we could take the next steps to change all of those things. So one thing I will not tolerate though is any hate or negativity down in the comments. If you got that, then peace out, goodbye. We don't need you here. But I will see you guys next time. Bye.